So they did pick him up. Hey, folks, pre-show, point and shoot, hangout. We're live right now, but we're not ready yet. Still waiting on my rest of the crew to get in here. You there, Mike? You hear me all right, Mike?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
Okay, we live, by the way.
Okay.
I know. I guess the invitations aren't working because Sweeney hasn't popped in either. So I just put it through the IM. See if he gets it that way.
Okay.
I don't see that anybody else has wanted in.
Unless Portis comes in late, like he does sometimes.
Oh yeah, I'll go ahead and stick it out there just to be safe.
Boy, what a nice day today.
Let's see. So Portis.
What? Low humidity? Oh.
Let's see. There we go. You said nice weather there this time, finally?
Oh, yeah. Nice. Low humidity and just got up to 79.
Nice. Yeah, it wasn't too bad here today either. It's going to rain eventually. I don't care, though. I'm blessed with shelter. You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I've been watching on. They've been live streaming it. I stayed at this place. There's a Hampton Inn in Seabrook.
Yep.
3-alarm fire.
Dang, son.
Oh, it's one of the nicest Hamptons I've seen. Hampton's always pretty nice, but this one's a real nice one.
Do you travel with a black cloud around you or something?
No, this is I'm looking at everything at 6 o'clock. I was on Twitter. 3 alarm fire. I mean, 2 alarm, and it's gone to 3 now. But Seabrook is a good 60, 70 miles from me.
Mm-hmm. About an hour.
Yeah. It's not too far from Galveston. It's about 10 minutes from Galveston.
Galveston is the beach city, right?
Yeah. Galveston Island. Kima is not too far from it.
All right. Let's see here. I got the photos ready. Looks like we got a winner just by a vote. Mccusker.
Wow. Last time I looked, Sweeney had 8.
Yeah, Mccusker got 9.
Oh, okay.
It was pretty close. There's a 9, there's an 8, one more 8, and a 7.
Yeah, Nicole got 7 or 8.
Yeah, she's got 8 now. Got 8 now. But yeah, I think we're about ready here. Anything that you wanted to discuss in particular? I got one thing that I wanted to look at, and there was one person's photo I wanted to look at from the community. You had anything in mind?
No. Unlike last time, Lightroom CS is working perfectly.
Mine updated, bro, but I haven't opened it yet. I just did the install because it prompted me to, but I've yet to process in it. I've done everything on mobile so far. That'll change though. So I got some stuff I'm gonna try to work on.
I put the mobile version on not too long ago. You know, I think I edited a couple of things. That's that one flower shot that I did this weekend. That was edited in Lightroom on mobile.
Yeah, now the mobile, I do have that updated. Yeah, I do have that updated and have used it since then.
I've been using it quite a bit.
You about ready?
Yeah.
All right, so I got the pictures here. I need my cropping window. Where is that?
Oh,
there's my cropping window. Still don't have a monitor.
Go get one.
I need some money, man. You gonna give me some money so I can buy one?
No, I just got to buy me some new stuff.
Give me about $200. I can buy a decent monitor, secondary monitor.
That kind of money I went into my watch.
Oh, that's right. You was gonna do the watch. That's right. Is yours been delivered yet?
Not until sometime late June.
Oh, okay. So you got bumped like a lot of people did.
Because I got the space gray and black. Space gray with the black band. I just got the sport model. I'm not I've seen the stainless steel one. It's nice looking, but $800 is a little too much for a.
I think the sport's fine as long as you get the large one. It looks good, dude. It impressed me. I didn't expect it to look as good. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did.
But I just didn't. I'm trying to save up for that Beretta.
Of course.
And that's $700 right there.
Bad. Guys, you got it bad.
But next year, when the new watch comes, when they do the update, I might get the Milanese loop with the steel.
Oh man.
The edition is a little too much.
Of course. You think just a little? All right. Let me plug in my headphones and we're gonna go live. Give me one more mic check.
Okay. Who is I'm hearing a lot of
that's my kids back there.
Because it sounded like I am's like because I think Sweeney.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. They back there chilling with one another and watching the NFL draft.
I'm watching it between what's going on that and Baltimore.
Yeah, I'll pass on that. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. In 3 and in 2 and in 1. Hello. What's going on, folks? Aunt Pruitt here. Hold on. That screen doesn't say that I'm Aunt Pruitt.
Say stay tuned.
Yeah, my screen doesn't say that. Now it says that. Yeah, all right, that better. I am Aunt Pruitt. Hope y'all are doing well. I am unbelievable. It is 9:11 p.m. Eastern time, and Thursday night. And it's time for Point and Shoot with the Smartphone Photographers community. Each week, me and some of the other moderators and community members, we get together here on the wonderful world of Google Plus. It's not dead. And have a little chat session and talk about different tips and tricks to make you a much better smartphone photographer. Because believe it or not, that little camera you carry around in your pocket, also known as a cell phone, is pretty daggone powerful. All it takes is just a little bit of effort, just a little bit of effort to get some really nice photos. Other than the tips and tricks, we also discuss a weekly photo challenge that a different member proposes. So last week we had, who won last week? Oh, I can't say his name, Mr. MZ. He won, Mr. Zadwatsky. And he gave us a nice challenge to put out to the community. And all you do is you submit your photos, try to tell us what you did, how you did, and allow us to critique it. And the community votes on it. And we pick a new winner, and that winner picks the next challenge. And we've been doing that for, well, we've been doing this about 2 years now, right?
Yeah. I was here right at the beginning, but I was here shortly because I was around when we did the Saturday hangouts.
Yeah, we used to have our international show for Saturdays because we have a lot of international active community members that don't get to participate in the hangout on air on Thursdays because of the time zone differences, of course. But now we're not able to do that anymore. Maybe sometime soon. Mr. Robert Knight, he's another moderator. He heads that up. And but he's been a little busy because he is a daddy. He just had twins. So myself and the rest of the smartphone photographers community, we wish Mr. and Mrs. Robert Knight congratulations on their two little girls. 2 twin girls were born. I believe their name is Zanita and Zion. Dang, I hope I got that right, Robert. If I didn't, I apologize. You know how I am with names. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get rolling here. And we're going to take a look at the shots that were submitted for the challenge. So what's about to happen, folks that are watching, I am going to do a screen share and pull up. How do I want to do this? That right there. Share. All right. You guys see my screen okay? You know what? I'm sorry. Pause that. I didn't introduce who you are. My man, Michael King, is joining us from Texas down there with some nice weather for once. How you doing, Mr. King?
I'm doing great. I'm tired because the weather here on Monday wasn't too great.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
it missed us, but anything to the north of us had tremendous amount of damage. No tornadoes, just straight line wind and baseball size hail.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna start calling you Black Cloud King because I swear that the bad weather follows you wherever you go, bro.
Well, it missed us, which is so nice.
Jeez. All right. Thank you for hanging out. I'm gonna click on the screen sharing options now, and we're gonna pull up this week's challenge. See my screen now?
Uh-huh.
All right. Now, the unfortunate thing, I won't be able to do the little cropping thing like I used to, but it's okay. We'll be fine. This week's challenge was based on Worm's Eye View. Now, Worm's Eye View, turn that off again. Worm's Eye View, you can sort of use your imagination and figure out where, this thought process comes from. Basically, you think of an earthworm crawling around on the ground. What would he see? What would it see? I should say, do
they have eyes?
Right. I mean, if it's going through a lawn or something like that, how are you going to share with the rest of the world the view from a worm? And my concern with this thing was, will we as a community take a lot of shots that are looking up? You know what I mean? Because the worm is on the ground and There's not much on the ground unless you have a macro lens or microscope lens or something like that. So I was wondering if people would have a tendency to shoot up. Everything is looking up. And in my opinion, that's sort of a thin line between that, because you can shoot a shot that's facing up, just standing up in the room or standing out on the sidewalk. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it's more about getting that perspective from a worm's view. What are the other elements around, in addition to looking up? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I was hoping that I wouldn't have to battle with anything like that this week. So we'll see. See what the community does. So I'm going to hit screen share, pull the challenge back up. Here we go. All right. And typically what we do is we just pick a few random ones and just sort of highlight them, if you will, and critique through them before we look at the ones that had the most votes from the community members. We had 12 photos submitted. I appreciate everybody that was able to put in some shots. Appreciate the participation. Let's start with, let's go back with Nicole. She's one of our regular photography nuts here. I mean, she's really good. I think she uses a Galaxy S5. Yep, she does. And this time with her S5, she used a macro lens. And what's funny, when I see macro lens shots for people with smartphones, the first thing that comes to my mind is all of the naysayers saying you shouldn't have to do all of that for a smartphone camera. Just buy a regular camera. Yeah. And I'm thinking, well, if you had a regular camera, you still have to get a nice lens to take to take a macro shot. So what's your point? Oh, I'm sorry. It's just a lot cheaper to do what I'm doing, and I'm still going to get just as nice a shot, But anyway, I get a little salty when I hear stuff like that. Sorry. But this is from Nicole, and she did her touch up in Photoshop Express, adding adjustments to clarity and sharpening and defog. And then she put her little watermark in with Pixlr. Now, last time we had one of her shots on the show, man, she had her watermark hidden. And I'm curious to see if we can find it. How much can we zoom in? You see it?
No, unless it's that little gray and that little kind of a blotch and everything.
Man,
she does a good job.
She does a really cool job of hiding her watermark. I like this shot here. It sort of looks, for some reason, it's a little blurry, but I think it works.
Well, worms are blind.
I was going to say, because a worm really can't see. So if you can't see, and it should just be black, but if he could see, it would probably look like that, So I like what she did with that. I would have cropped this last little stem off right here because you lose the tip of it. But outside of that, I can't take anything from it. I like this soft tones on this one here, and she did get one of the top vote getters in this particular hangout. So good job, Nicole.
In fact, this would be a perfect one for a snake's eye view, because they don't see very clear.
Exactly. Good call. Now, is there anything you would have done differently with this shot, bro?
I have to agree with that. One thing is, that one little stem to cut, to crop it out. But otherwise, she's a pro. What can I say?
I wonder if she didn't crop it out because, whoops, wrong screen. Sorry about that. I wonder if she didn't crop it out because it would have taken this off center slightly. Because when you look at this piece now, it looks like it's damn near centered.
If anything, maybe she could have moved her camera over or the lens over just a little bit towards the other one to get the tip of the other one. But and you really wouldn't lost too much of the stems or anything.
Yeah. But it's still a very good shot, though. It's a very good shot. All right, so let's take a look at a few more here. if Sweeney's coming, I'll pull mine up so he can run through it. This one here from my man Chris Seam, Big Chris over in Washington State, man that knows some good beers. Chris used this Samsung Galaxy S4, and he did his processing inside of Snapseed with the black and white filter, and a little black and white filter and drama filter. And of course, since he's using black and white, you got to touch up that contrast, baby, so you can get those nice deep black colors right there. Get that extra detail out. I like that a lot. But again, as I said, before we started looking at the shots, I can shoot that shot standing straight up because it's just looking straight up, you know. And if a worm was to be looking straight up, I got a hunch he might see a few other things around him, but that's just my 2 cents. That's just my opinion. I like your shot, Chris. Yeah, and I would actually vote for it, but I still think it's got to have a little more to be in the lines of a quote unquote worm's eye view. Other critiques that I may have here. I think another crop here.
That beam's kind of blown out a little bit. The main beam.
Oh, this one here. Well, that's probably because he boosted that contrast so much. You know? It's probably because he boosted the contrast so much. I can still see some texture in it, so it doesn't really bother me as much. I mean, now if it was really like hot white, yeah, but see, at least I can still see some texture here where the paint was rusting away on this side. I mean, it's clearly been peeled off on this side, but you can see where it's actually beginning to on the left-hand side all the way down the structure. So, I mean, I think he did that pretty well there. Considering. It's not noisy, but like I said, I would have maybe just tried to tighten this up a little more just to see what it looks like. I don't think it would hurt the image, and I don't think it would improve the image, but it's just a thought. So big ups to you, Chris. What do you have, King? What do you think on it?
Well, it's okay. You know, if anything, I don't know, maybe we could have tried to bring it down a little bit to make it a little lower, but I like some of the black and white shots, but sometimes I don't. It's hard to say, but it's not bad. I voted for it, but it's not bad.
Right.
And I have to admit, you know, some of the they could have done a little better on the cropping.
Nice. All right, so let's take a look-see at another. Sweeney's not here, so I'll go ahead and pick on mine. I ended up getting a decent amount of votes. I appreciate you folks voting for me. In this shot, I used my trusty Nexus 6, and again, I've been doing a lot of combo editing and processing using Snapseed and Lightroom together, because both of those apps are, you know, they have their strengths and weaknesses. I still like Snapseed a little better than Lightroom on mobile, but Lightroom mobile does, you know, have at least 2 particular tasks that it can handle for me. When I shot this shot was a lot wider and it was a lot brighter. And even back here in the distance, I had to do some selective exposure adjusting to make it have sort of a lane for this little creature here, this little caterpillar. I wanted to try to give it not only just from the low level, but I wanted to give it something to make your eyes go from left to right kind of thing. So I did the vignetting, if you will, to try to bring to bring this stone out a little more, and then black that out back there as best that I could to not make it look too obvious. And inside of Snapseed, you know, you have that brush option, and I took that brush tool and adjusted the exposure for maybe 3 or 4 different levels, including here on this little plank piece, to where you could see some of the grain in the wood. But I didn't want to do it all the way up and make it all uniform. I thought it would look better if you could just see the grain in certain spots of it, you know, because the further away you get, of course, you're not going to see as much grain, wood grain, you know. So But yeah, that's Snapseed with a lot of messing around with the saturation and clarity inside of Lightroom. And I want to say I did some noise reduction as well inside of Lightroom. It didn't really need it. I didn't have a macro lens, but I did just get down on the ground. Happened to see this rock by a curb in the lawn, and I just got down on the ground and got behind this little guy and hoped that it didn't move, and he didn't move. So it's like, hey, shoot while you can. And originally the preliminary shots had a lot of the detail on this thing here, and the caterpillar was out of focus. So I had to sort of fight to get focus on the caterpillar and be close at the same time, because the closer I got, the worse focus this thing got. So I had to back away and try to find that sweet spot to where it still had some clarity and focus on the caterpillar. Because if you look right here, you can see it loses some of the sharpness in the image there, you know. But that's that. Mr. King, have at it. You want to rip it up?
Only thing I can say, if you gotten a little lower to make it right now, it looks more like a bird's eye view.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of came on the top. If you was able to probably get the camera on the same level as the caterpillar,
yep,
it would look a little better. But it's not bad.
I agree with you 100%. 100%. Because I wanted to try to get low and sort of look at it almost like from behind. To where it would have gone like right over his head kind of thing. But at the same time, I wanted to give you this particular point of view, this trail for your eyes to go. Because back there, it was nothing. It was like a drain or something. I mean, it was totally boring looking. I thought this over here looked a little more interesting because you had all of this sand and dirt and whatnot. You even have these little teeny little red ants walking around there, you know.
Ooh.
But I couldn't get any lower because I kept losing focus on it. So, but I tried, and I totally agree with your criticism there. Totally agree.
That's the only thing I can see, because that's not bad at all. And if you're talking about red ants, I hope they were not fire ants.
Nah, well, they may have been. These are like tiny little baby ones. They wasn't grown.
They still hurt.
Yeah, but I was safe though. I wasn't there too long. All right. So that's my shot. Let me go over here. This shot here, I am going to vote for it. I just realized I didn't vote for it. I'm going to vote for this one. Why? Because number one is in the grass.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, it's looking up, but it's not looking 90 degrees up. You know what I mean? And this is from my man that won last week that I can't pronounce his name, Mr. Zadwatsky. Marus Zadwatsky. Sorry for mispronouncing your name yet again. But he uses, I think he's been using a Galaxy S3. I believe he's been using an S3. And this man he's really, really talented. He's won like 3 or 4 here recently, now that I think about it. But what I like about this shot is it didn't go straight up in the air 90 degrees. You know, he only went, you know, just a few degrees where you can see that there's a clearly an incline, you know, clearly going up. And then he's got the grass, you know, you're lying in the grass looking up just like a worm would, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. What could he do different? Pretty hard to say on this one, man. Because if he were to try to rotate it to straighten it, maybe rotate it towards the right to try to straighten this out a little bit, the line of the door here and here, I think it would have screwed up and pushed these particular fence tops or post tops out of the frame to where you didn't have that sky going across. I don't know, but I can't think of much else I would do on it. Maybe a little more contrast to get a little darker, but that might be pushing it too much because most of the time grass is green.
Yeah.
So trying to make that darker, it may not look.
It can be brown.
Yeah. Don't know. But what are your thoughts on it, bro?
I know Sweeney's here. The first thing you would say, it's not straight.
Not straight, right? It's not
But
straight.
no,
It's grayscale. That's what he's going to say too. Grayscale.
Yeah. Sometimes being a little cockeyed like that does work, because you would have, if he straightened it up, he might, that little you're talking about, that little detail you're talking about on the top, you probably would have lost it.
Right. So
and I just like, I like it being like it is. I'm not a purist when it comes to grayscale. It doesn't have to be black or white, or it can be, have a little green in it. It has a little green in it. But I like that.
I like the fact that it's black and white. Well, grayscale.
Grayscale, basically.
Totally dig that. Totally dig that. Good job, man. All right, so let's take a look at Sweeney's shot before we get to the top vote earner. Not one of my favorites from Sweeney, but I like this shot. Why? Because of the details, man. The fine details that he was able to get out of an iPhone 5S. I mean, just amazing details. Not only do you have water droplets on the bottom of these little beautiful flowers, but all the way down to the curves here. You can see the little tips of the curves on these leaves, the little fur on it, man.
The veins inside of the yellow limbs.
This thing, it is so crisp and detailed, even to where a little caterpillar had a little snack. You can see the detail on that, man. This is so well done. Such a Sweeney shot.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't exactly fit the worm's eye view, because again, that's
straight up.
That's straight up and down. There's not even 90 degrees. It's straight, like he put the camera on the ground and shot it straight up.
Straight up. Yeah.
But I tell you, you're right. That the details are just typical Sweeney.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious to know what processing he did in there. He didn't mention. Normally, he does mention his processing information.
Slacker.
I'm assuming he had something like what you call it, Camera Plus, I believe.
He uses that, or he uses manual cam.
Manual camera, yeah.
And of course, I don't know if he used Snapseed or Lightroom or one of those, but did a hell of a job.
Yeah. Good job, Sweeney. Good job. Anything you would do differently on this one, King? I can't think of anything.
I can't.
The angle.
Yeah, I can't.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at the winning shot. And holy cow. Mr. Tim Mccusker. Using a 1+1, and he's been just killing it with Photoshop Express as his editing tool. And okay, so Tim lives out in Nevada. I'm not going to say the exact area, but he's definitely near a lot of desert land, and it's going to be hit or miss as far as some of the scenery that you get out there. And there's times where you can come across these mountains, and it's just absolutely beautiful. This is just a lifeless road, if you will, but it's so daggum pretty. I like what he's got going on with the leading line going all the way up left to right, and it just gives you a little more curiosity. And not only that, the textures that he's able to pick up in this photo. I don't know if he ran this through a filter to get a little more detail on the texture. I don't care, but it looks great, man. I mean, you truly get a feel for this particular area. He probably could have gone a little lower on the ground. I don't think he's lying on the ground to shoot this shot, but it is still a very, very pretty shot. The next thing that would come to mind is the alignment of the horizon. If you go from the right side to the left side and start with this horizon line right here, you work your way across, still above the horizon there. Thing is, though, King, if he were to tilt that, to straighten that out and say go up that whole 1 inch in rotation, then he loses this line.
That's the main part of that line. But what I know, also what I like on the hills, look how sharp
Yeah.
that the line is on those. I mean, you can tell just how sharp it is.
Yeah. This is really, really well done. The clouds are, just the little cirrus clouds, and not too terribly dramatic, but they're not boring either. This
Home
is
run.
Yeah, this is very, very nicely done, Mr. Mccusker. What are your thoughts, Mr. King? Any other thoughts on it?
No, it's just when I saw that, I said, wow, there it is. There it is.
You know what? The thing is, I am happy that he won this thing, but I'm also going to laugh at him because I know he's been struggling to try to come up with challenges for the community because he wins all the daggum time, so.
If it isn't him, it's Nicole. If it isn't Nicole, it's
Zawatsky, yeah.
It used to be one other person, but I don't think he's even entered. I forgot who it was.
Oh, I know you're talking about. He's not in anymore.
Oh, he's out of our group.
Yeah, he wasn't able to participate anymore, so he's not in anymore. But I know exactly what you're talking about. His first name was Dave. I'll say that. But congratulations, Mr. Tim Mccusker. Very, very well done with your shot here on your OnePlus smartphone and Photoshop Express. So we look forward to hearing from you on your challenge, my man. And if you need issues with getting that thing posted, just let me know and I'll take care of that for you. Don't mind at all. I like to try to do that stuff by Saturday because it gives the community a lot more time to get things done, especially if you give it to them on a Saturday morning. People, it's fresh on their mind, and most people are sort of out lounging and whatnot on Saturdays anyway. So they're thinking, I can just find something for the challenge. At least that's what works for me. Anyway. All right. There was a few other photos that I wanted to look at, and there was a topic that I wanted to discuss. Okay. I want to give a shout out to my man Danny Wood, one of our community members. So let me click on this here. There we go. This is from Danny Wood, and he's in Toronto City, one half of Toronto City Hall, as he says. Obviously looking up. Now, folks, this has nothing to do with the particular challenge. This is just what the community is about. We will share our shots and, share our insight and what we did and just, what we thought about it. And members will take a look at it and we will critique them and give them props, give them credit where credit's due. And we'll also throw in suggestions on things that, that we think might work. Me personally, I don't have any suggestions for this shot. I really, really like this photo. Well, no, I take that back. Since it's got all of this black area over here, make it darker. Make it even darker, which will in turn probably make all of the shadows darker here. Lower the shadows, make the shadows a little darker, increase the highlights just a tad, and this photo will really, really pop. But he used a Sony Xperia Z3, which we know has some really great sensors in them. So it's a really sharp photo. How many megabytes this thing? This is the size is 9 megs. Good grief. That's a big photo file. But yeah, I wanted to give Danny Wood some props there. Anything you'd like to add on this shot?
Not really. It's just like you said, it's I would have darkened it up, so you might have lose a little more of the detail in the shadows. But
I don't know if you would lose any of the details myself. I think if he's using like Snapseed or whatever, something that has highlights in it, if you make the shadows darker and then push the highlights, these little things will probably pop out a little more. And give it and it won't be like overpowering. It'll give it a little balance. That's my opinion. So Danny, if you're watching and listening, try that out. I'm curious to see what would happen. Love your photo, but I'm just curious about another editing tactic. You know what I mean? All right. One more thing I wanted to look at here. My man Matt Lee. Matt Lee is my good buddy from a new domain, my brother from another mother. And he's also my server admin. So when the website is up and running, I know Matt's doing his thing and keeping it up and running. I have no say so on it, and I'll gladly hand him the keys for that. But he shared an article, how I designed the craziest photo ever taken with a smartphone. And first off, the phone is a Huawei P8. Now, I don't know if you guys remember my trip to Barcelona and Mobile World Congress a couple months ago, but the Huawei phone, their flagship phone, was announced back then, and an absolute wow of a phone. The hardware was great. The phone felt great. The phone looked great. The camera, the software, outstanding phone that you'll never see in the US, unfortunately. But yeah, this shot here, the article, he goes in a fair amount of detail to create this final photo right here. But
that's so cool.
But you can see going through the article here. Let me scroll back to the top. You can see that he tells just about every single thing that he did, and he even mentions putting down his $33,000 camera to use the smartphone for this particular challenge, because they challenged him to shoot a beautiful photo with a smartphone, and one of the parameters was to have the model completely surrounded by fire. Now, Mr. King, I'm not a photographer, okay? But I know if you try to shoot fire or just try to shoot any type of light, it is pretty daggum hard to get your exposure right and get the focus right, because fire doesn't sit still. You know, you got to have your shutter fast, and there's so many different little variables to take into effect, let alone the fire itself. But what other lighting do you have in place? But he discussed the other lighting that he had in place. He discussed the pyrotechnics, folks. You can barely see those guys over here. And yeah, right there, that's the other guy, where the pyrotechnics guy were basically making motions with their flames that ended up looking like wings for this particular model. But this was all done with his smartphone. Now, after I read this, Mike, first thing that came to my mind is people saying, man, he sure did a whole lot of work to get that shot, you know, with his smartphone. If I had my D8000 or my, you know, 5D Mark or what have you, I wouldn't have had to do all of that work.
Yes, you would.
Personally, I want to say bull crap. You would have to do just as much work as he had to do because of all the elements that he had involved, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
This thing is so well done, man.
It would have been a little easier, but yeah, you'll still have to do all the proper editing, and you have to get the exposure just right, because even them, you still can screw it up a little bit. Yep. And I mean, so that one it's easy to do it on a smartphone the same way. You just have a little more. You had a little extra step you had to go through, but wow, it was just something else.
The thing is, King, I don't think he had to go through any extra steps that he wouldn't have had to do with this DSLR. He still needed to have a tripod, as you can see right there. He had to have a tripod. He had to have these pyrotechnics guy do what they needed to do in unison or on his command, you know, to make the shot appear the way he wanted it to appear. He had to control the shutter speed. You know, you have to do that on a DSLR just like you had to do on a phone.
And you have to make sure the model's in the right position.
Everything had to be just right. I don't think there's anything he did with this smartphone that was more work than having to use a quote unquote real camera.
Well, you know, I've heard about the Huawei, and they say it does have a fantastic camera, but these smartphone cameras are getting so good that in most cases, a lot of times it's now replacing a point and shoot.
It is. Yes, I agree. Okay, well, that's my soapbox. I had to share that because it really warmed my heart to see a professional put so much effort into that shot, you know. And And it's not because it was a smartphone. It was because he wanted a particular photograph. You know what I mean?
You're right.
All right. And it looks like you're sharing a
Yeah,
picture here.
This is one of pictures I just took Saturday, I believe it was. Yeah, Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And of a flower, my mother's flower bed that I actually did the first edit in a mobile Lightroom, and I'm quite pleased the way it came out.
Yeah, it looks good, man. This is one of the best here that I've seen from you. Very, very sharp. Very, very sharp.
But yeah. And oh, okay. All right. I just turned, there it is. I'm saying, come on, people.
No, we see you just fine. See you just fine. All right. Before we get out of here, is there anything else that you wanted to discuss?
Not really.
Have you ever used that app called Enlight?
I've heard of it. I haven't gotten it yet.
Okay. Yeah, it's from what I can see, it's only been used in iOS. I haven't looked at the developer's webpage, but you know, on the Amazing Phone Photos website, I get a lot of emails, you know, from people sending in their photos that they think should be published on the website, which is great. And I appreciate that. Just send them to photos@amazingphonephotos.com or just follow the site on Facebook or Instagram and just tag us, you know, Amazing Phone Photos. All right. But a lot of the iPhone folks, they've been using their editing, doing their editing inside of Enlight here. And it looks like it's $3.99. Yes, a $3.99 photography editing app. And I didn't really go through this webpage or anything to look at all of the odds and ends of this app, but for $3.99, and I continue to see shots come through with that in the processing name, it must be pretty dadgum good.
Yeah,
you said you've heard of it?
I've heard of it. I just never got around to getting it. I just got so many apps, right? Editing apps that it gets a little too much at times. Of
course. Don't know if anybody else has used it. Sweeney said he used it. It hasn't replaced Snapseed for him. So it is a quick and dirty edit. I guess it's not as granular as Snapseed, is what he's saying.
Right. I never played with it, so I really can't say.
Well, wait a minute. Okay, if it's not as granular as Snapseed, why in the world is it $3.99? That's a little steep.
That's one reason I haven't gotten it, because I'm just kind of watching my money right now, because the economy is still not like it should be. And we are when we've had a lot of storm stuff, we don't have a lot of money coming in because we're not selling. Of course,
you're paying claims.
Right.
It's a big difference.
But yeah, I'm going to get it at some point, but.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, let's go ahead and call this a night, my man. I'm going to allow you to let everyone know where we can find you and all of your photography stuff that you'd like to share on the wonderful World Wide Web. Okay.
Well, most of my photography, not all my smartphone photography, is in our group, but I do put them up on the public side of Google Plus. So I can be found at Michael King 4023, and my SLR work is on Flickr. Nice. Same with the same call signs.
Nice. All right, Michael King 4023. Thank you as always, brother, for hanging out with us.
No problem.
All right, and myself, you can find me here on Google Plus under @Pruitt, and you just Google that name, @Pruitt. It will pull up a large bald-headed black dude. That would be me. You can also find me on Twitter, where the handle is right there. It says, there we go, @_Pruitt. I'm also on Instagram and all of these other little social networks outside of Facebook. But most importantly, check out the websites. Check out smartphone-photographers.com. And if you want to do a little quick and dirty look, check out amazingphonephotos.com. Amazingphonephotos.com. A very nice site that's just a straight up photo gallery of shots taken with smartphones. It's not all iPhones. It's not all Nexuses. I mean, it's just a myriad of different phone types and different photography styles on there. So check that out. That's amazingphonephotos.com. Now, if you're interested in joining this smartphone photographers community, just check us out on Google Plus and click that button that says request an invite, and it will notify either myself or any of the other moderators to take a look at your Google Plus profile. And basically what we do is make sure you're fit, because we don't fool around with people that just come into the community and sit there. We want our members to be active. We want our members to be those that not only share great photos, but can offer some insight and tips and tricks as well. And people can learn, people can hop in here and can learn from other community members. No, you may not have the most knowledge, but you can critique someone else and say, hey, I think it would look better if you would crop it this way. I think it would look better if you would boost the saturation, or you might be one of the people that's, at least this was me. Hey, what the heck is white balance? What the heck is meter and mode? That's what this community is for. It's a nice spot to show off your photos, but also a great spot to learn about smartphone photography and photography fundamentals in general. Thank you all for watching. Check us out every Thursday, primarily, at about 9 p.m. Eastern time. And you can also check the reruns on the website. I usually get those things published on the weekends because I have to do video edit and so forth, but it's all good. So until then, we'll talk to you guys next week. And shout out to my man, Mr. Tim Mccusker. Again, congratulations on winning the challenge. We look forward to your challenge. Oh, and I got to give one more vendor shout out. Here's my man, Mr. Adam Ergol of Ergol Designs. Adam is my graphics vendor, my computer graphics vendor. And I look forward to continuing working with him. Okay, plug is done. I will see you folks next week. Thank you all for watching. Click like and subscribe. Take care.